Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a fun weekend and enjoyed a nice Sunday of NFL, man. Bengals pulling off the upset. Shout out to Joe Burrow. And then shout out to the Rams. Odell Beckham is going to the ship. I'm hyped. It's one of those Super Bowls where I just like everyone in it. Can't really go wrong with who wins, for me at least. But hopefully Odell gets that ring, man. Love me some Odell. How we doing, chat? Shout out to you guys. Josh Redfoot, Mighty Saint, Jay Smooth, Willie, Lewis, Quinn, Crispy, Patrick Reed. Yeah. What up, Byron's Journey, man? I hope you guys are having a really good start to your week, your Monday. It is changing temperatures where I'm at, man. I went outside this morning. It's pretty damp, a little rainy. Dropped to the 50s. I did a show with DFS coach earlier today. He told me that it's supposed to get into freezing temperatures by Wednesday. And that's always fun because in the state of Texas, they always forget that it gets cold once a week or 1 week a year, and no one knows what to do, right? They're just like ice everywhere, and no one knows. Like, you know, it gets crazy, and some of you guys in southern states might be able to relate. But no matter where you're at, I know the Northeast got smacked with some winter storm. So I hope you guys are staying warm. You're staying electrified. But tonight, fun slate, a decent sized slate, and probably the coolest thing about tonight's slate is that all the games tip within an hour of each other, so we don't have to really waste our night exhausting, chasing down news, waiting for stuff like that. There is a lot of news coming out for tonight's slate, and a lot of Q tags that hopefully we can tighten up when we get to where we need to be. But the fact that everything is within an hour of initial lock is pretty encouraging, to say the least. I'm Gun, twitter.com/Gundacker. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that sub button, hit that thumbs up, man. You would think that I'd be sick of this slate by now. It's actually the fourth piece of content I've thrown out there for this slate. We did the Awesemo Slate Starter podcast this morning, and that was from, eyeballs from last night. Then I do me and DFS Coach. We chop it up on his channel. If you haven't checked out Coach, he was on this stream last week, and we looked at the slate again this morning. While we were talking the slate, Joel Embiid gets rolled out. So the slate's a lot different because Embiid was the guy that I had projected as the highest fantasy scorer on the slate. So we lose that, and then we get undeniable value in Andre Drummond. Well, we finished that show. I'm sitting around getting ready for that PrizePicks prop show. We get Jimmy Butler out. We get Trent Young questionable. We get Darius Garland questionable. So much is happening that each look at this slate is just a little bit different for me. So hopefully, we get closer and closer to mastering every piece of this slate, front and back. What up, Elvin? What up, Lorenzo? What up, Jason? What up, Brian? Big Bino, Andrew Martinez. How many Phillies we playing? Didi Gregorius. I'm pitching. I was gonna say Zach Wheeler, but I don't know. Aaron Nola. I'm eating a Philly. Philly cheesesteaks go hard in the paint. Ketchup, though. I put ketchup on my man. Oh, it's the secret. I love it. Smoking a Philly. Let me find out, Let me find out. You guys can find out who I'm gonna play tonight. by going to RunDFS.com and making yourself an account, getting signed up for a VIP membership. We opened back up the opportunity to buy a full year pass. Two people over the weekend were asking about locking in for the rest of the year. The only thing I had up for bulk was until July. So if you guys are ready to get the full year, that's back up. It's opened up at a $539 price point. If you want that, you DM me on Twitter. I have a coupon code that can get you I think $39 off, so it becomes $500. So DM me on Twitter. All of our memberships at RunDFS.com come with a credit towards Fantasy Cruncher, and the year pass comes with $150 towards Fantasy Cruncher. So if you're a fan of rebates, that almost makes the year pass like if you DM me for the code and you use the rebate, that almost makes the year pass like math. What is that? $350? That's nuts. That's insane. So take advantage of that. And then every day before lock, we're in that Discord voice chat, grinding until lock, talking to plays, talking the news, and just coming up with strategy and creating player pools, all that good stuff. You guys are welcome to come be part of that process. It's part of my everyday in this game that we call DFS, man. But we're going to open up the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. This is a perk of a premium subscription at RunDFS.com. Matter of fact, actually, we're doing it wrong. We need to open up Underdog NBA Twitter and just make sure we're on top of all the most recent news by fan in that incredible Underdog NBA Twitter account. If you guys are on Twitter and you're not following it, you should be. It's Underdog 2_ NBA. And I will see what the latest that he has put out. Usually does an incredible job of what to watch for at 3 p.m. Eastern. And that'll kind of get us fully updated, so you guys can watch for it as we're live. Because it is a solo stream, no Raj today. I think Raj will be back Wednesday, is what he told me. So yeah, when it's just me, man, I need you guys to be fully interactive and keep me on my toes. Key news to watch as of 3 p.m. Eastern: Trae Young, Darius Garland, Brandon Ingram, De'Aaron Fox, Jonas Valanciunas, Kevin Porter Jr., Josh Hart, Ivica Zubac, all questionable. And then after Jimmy Butler got ruled out, the active players for the Heat: Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Bam Adebayo, Max Strus, Dwayne Dedman, Kyle Guy, Chris Silva, and Udonis Haslem. As 10 active, you almost assume that Haslam's not touching the court, so it's 9 active. And then it's a matchup against the Celtics, and we'll talk about how good or not good that matchup is in just a moment. So that's what we're working with. Let's get back to that RunDFS.com NBA VIP Discord, and then we're good. What up, Earth to Air? What up, Matt? What up, Daryl? Drummond going to be the chalk when Harris. That's the stuff to stats tonight. Yeah, but for DFS, Drummond's still just egregiously too cheap, right? I don't disagree with you. I think Tobias Harris looks like a good per minute play, but it just becomes a price point where Drummond has 40, 50 fantasy point potential at 4K and less, right? What up, Ibsen Bracy? Sub Gun. I got my 4-year-old Quaid watching, a future DFS player. Can you give him a shout out? Yo, shout out to Quaid. You're going to be great to follow your dreams and listen to your parents. And one day you're going to be taking care of them like they're taking care of you. So, yeah, do all the good stuff. What up, Chuck? What up, Neville? Blood for wagon gun? I don't know what that means. Gun, who's your top value playing on FanDuel? Come on, bro. It's Andre Drummond. Maybe Josh Giddey. Giddey's really cheap, but Lou Dort's fine as well, right? I dig solo streams. Yeah, solo stream help. I don't prefer it, right? But when I'm in a pinch for time and I know I gotta meet hard outs and stuff like that to get in the Discord on a big slate, I trust myself to get it done. Sometimes if me and Raj get a little too long-winded, we're brushing through the West Coast games because I got to get out in time, but I can really pace a little more professionally. But if you just want to see me talk to other people, there's plenty of other videos today that I've done for this slate where I've done that as well. Hey, hit that thumbs up, man. Let's get them vibes up. Pelicans at the Cavs. First game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Pelicans. Devontae Graham, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Herbert Jones, and Jonas Valanciunas. Taking on Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. We got 209 total, 6.5 point spread in favor of the home team Cavs. So lots of moving pieces of information to keep an eye on here. Pelican side is very questionable. Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and Jonas Valanciunas all questionable here. And we've seen these guys miss. We've seen Brandon Ingram miss. We've seen J Val miss, and Josh Hart definitely a big minute and peripheral guy, and he could miss. And if all those guys were out, it would open up opportunities for Garrett Temple, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, maybe Jose Alvarado. If J Val is out, we get another game where we can look at Willie Hernan-Gomez, who has been really, really strong in 2 of his last 3 games. That last game, not so much, but I'm willing to forgive and forget, even against a stringent Cavs defense. It's just 5K for 40, 50 fantasy point potential. It's just too much to pass up. So getting the official rundown here from the NBC Sports Edge player depth chart page. I love keeping this page tabbed open. Great way to grab blurbs regarding player statuses pretty quickly as a companion piece to the Underdog NBA Twitter account. Going to New Orleans. Let's start with Josh Hart. Hart is dealing with a left knee contusion. Brandon Ingram dealing with a right ankle, and J Val is dealing with an illness. So it seems like the most common outcome here is probably 1 or 2 of these guys plays and 1 of these guys don't. I feel like Ingram is closer to out than in, and J Val is closer to in than out, and then Hart is a toss up. No matter what, it doesn't feel like a fantastic game to target because of the value that we have elsewhere. We're not as inclined to force in Pelicans value against a tougher defense in a game that projects to be extremely slow paced, comparable to the rest of the slate. But just in general, the Cavs and the Pelicans run bottom 10 paces. So not a lot to love, but we wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't push back on sweeping through some Pels value if you felt like it would be a contrarian spot. But I think the Heat value is going to project well, the Thunder value, the potential front court value for coming out of Andre Drummond is going to just create more money for the guards and forwards, that we don't have to take punts and prayers on a guy like Garrett Temple, and even NAW is priced appropriately, right? On the Cavs side, Darius Garland is a big name. He was actually the initial cover boy of the stream, and then he got downgraded to questionable. Usually I'll lean midday cues is closer to out than in. It's not always the case, but usually I prepare for those guys to be out. The Cavs did play last night. Garland, night 2 of a back-to-back. So if he doesn't go, I don't quite know what we're fully expecting here, but we have seen Rajon Rondo ease into the rotation. I think he's played at least 17 minutes since coming back in every game. 19, 20, 18 minutes in his last 3 outings since the 24th. And we've seen them call his number in competitive games to close out, right? So if Garland can't go, we might get value coming from a guy like Rajon Rondo, where anyone against the Pelicans are going to project pretty well if you give him a decent chunk of minutes here. So last night Rondo was part of the closing crew for the most part, 18 minutes, and then if we give him a shot at 30 minutes here in the absence of Darius Garland, he has a real chance of being one of the best value plays on the slate. 4,200 on Fanduel, bare bones min price on DraftKings. Like, he's borderline playable as is. So keep an eye on Garland. Again, this is a game that's part of the lock tip-off, so we should have this news. I guess we can try to run an on-off court tool for the Cavs here. I don't feel like there's going to be a ton of sample size and a lot of guessing on who might do some more ball handling if Garland's off the court. Maybe Jetty Osman, guys like that get a little extra boost, but I'm really hinging on Rondo to be the primary beneficiary. All I'm going to do is take Colin Sexton, Garland, and Rubio off, and I'm not going to try and put anyone on, although I guess Mobley and Allen would be a good representation of the minutes without this split. But Kevin Love, no surprise, leads the team in usage when these guys are off the court. Almost a 1.3 fantasy point per minute. It's a back-to-back for him, so you feel nervous about that. Mobley, 25% usage, and then it gets a little bit more spread out here. So, yeah, hopefully we get that news in due time, but I think Rondo could be one of the better value plays on the slate. We could have Rondo, Drummond, anchor the top and bottom of our DFS lineups and really have undeniable value. If the Pelicans have a scenario where all of their questionables become outs, Ingram, Hart, particularly Ingram and Hart, Jose Alvarado is a little bit interesting as a punt play on either side. He gets a lot of steals. The Cavs are second in the league in steals per game allowed. But I don't know that he would be a needed risk here if we did get that Rondo news, right? Let's get caught up on chat before we move on, and then we'll go from there. Big Bino says one thing about Good Chalk is if he fails, everybody fails. If he pops off and you ain't got him, go to bed, get ready for the next one. Yeah, Good Chalk is I love great chalk where you can just lock it in and solve that piece of the puzzle and go from there, and then you laugh at the people who faded them. Like there's been slates this year where Montrezl Harrell had a big game earlier this year with Gafford out, and it was before Thomas Bryant and Rui Hachimura came back. He was just like the most obvious play in the history of obvious, and he won like 35% owned in a lot of contests I was playing, and it was just like, you guys know about rake being so high, 15-16%. Sometimes when obvious chalk they can't fail are that good of a play, I'll get close to that lock button in 20-50 lineups. And then essentially I feel like I'm playing a rake-free game, So same concept here. But there's obviously ways to identify good chalk, bad chalk. And I would assume Drummond is great chalk, just being a peripheral laden big that should be can't miss territory in terms of pricing, at least on DK. What's up, Neville? In Patwa? Oh, okay. It's what's going on in Patwa. What language is Patwa? Patwa. What is Patwa? Jamaican. Are you Jamaican or what? It's a Creole language with West African influences, spoken primarily in Jamaica. All right. Well, that's good to know. So what was it? Blood is blood fire Wagwan? Chat, we are learning. Wagwan. Oh, Jesus H. Okay. All right. Appreciate that lesson. Warrior 15 said, I think Drummond and Sabonis is money together. I like that. What up, Mr. Baseballer? Are you at all worried about Tobias getting locked down since he's number one guy now? Has been a lot of doubling D on Embiid, possibly lending to Tobias increased output. Yeah, and I think Memphis Grizzlies are a really solid defense. Jaren Jackson Jr. Is really emerging. I'll say I liked a lot of Tobias Harris PrizePicks props, but I don't think I'm getting to like a crazy projection for him in DFS that makes him a must-have at AK. So we talked about good chalk and bad chalk. I still think the bust potential for Tobias Harris at AK to not be a smash play here exists. I'm barely breaking 40 fantasy points on his projection. AK, I'm okay without that. So if you're pessimistic, I'm pessimistic. I'm attacking some of his PrizePicks props, particularly the assist prop. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But I'm not jamming in Tobias Harris to answer your question. What up, King? When the world needed Raj most, he disappeared. Raj will be back this weekend. No need to double Harris. If you get Rondo starting along with the Drummond chalk, the fantasy score is going to be outrageous tonight. Yeah, and think about, there's still some other, Trae Young is questionable, right? We know Jimmy Butler's out. There's still plenty of replacement players, getting a boost in usage at a potentially inefficient price point, for the opportunity today. So this could be ultra studs and scrubs on a slate that felt like we didn't have a lot of studs, John Morant and Steph Curry, their 48 fantasy points might mean a lot more today than ever before, Facts, Quinn, it would be, does Morant pop off again? Yeah, John Morant's crushing it. Let's go game by game here. I like to pace out. Speaking of pace, Indiana Pacers hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. I think I misspoke earlier and had them on the wrong side of a blowout. Tony Toto Appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. Project starting five for the Clippers: Reggie Jackson, Amir Coffey, Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, Ivica Zubac. Taking on Karis LeVert, Chris Duarte, Justin Holiday, Torrey Craig, and Domantas Sabonis. 223 is our total. 3-point spread in favor of the home team, Indiana Pacers. Pacers still without Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, of course, TJ McConnell, and TJ Warren. Not likely to be back anytime soon. Goga Bitadze, O'Shea Brissett. Both have Q tags on them. Getting caught up on the status of Brissett and Goga. Brissett is listed as questionable with right ankle soreness. And Goga has been listed as sore right foot. Neither one of these guys are likely to start here. But if they are not able to go, that's less depth behind Sabonis, so we might get an increased expectation of Sabonis minutes, which are already pretty high. I got him 30 right now. I probably get to well over 30. And then maybe we can get to some of the kid, Isaiah Jackson, although on this slate it seems very unlikely that we would need to take that type of a risk with all this value that is starting to emerge. So just something to keep an eye on, asterisk, O'Shea Brissett, and Goga. LeVert, 7,200 on FanDuel, 7,900 on DraftKings. I tried to play devil's advocate earlier in discussing LeVert's lackluster performances from a fantasy standpoint the last couple games. So I'll run it by you guys. You guys let me know, right? It feels like without Malcolm Brogdon, without TJ McConnell, Karis LeVert should be in line for 30-plus minutes, be top 2 in usage with Sabonis, and he should be having better games than 22, 26, 22 fantasy points. Well, my devil's advocate is Dallas has been a top defense, and it was a blowout, right? 27-point laugher. OKC has Lou Dort, right? And they've been he's been a really good guard defender. And then against Charlotte, he played 20 minutes and had 5 fouls, and then that game got kind of out of control. So I'm willing to put reasoning behind all of these failure games, and maybe justify getting to a little bit of LeVert exposure if the field ownership on him is low enough, and I gotta assume it's going to be pretty doggone low because this is a what have you done for me lately type of game. So you might catch me in these streets playing a little bit of Karis LeVert. FanDuel 7,200. There's plenty of room for potential there. Obviously, Sabonis is the preferred option, and Sabonis was somebody I was wondering what his ownership would be on a slate that involved Joel Embiid. And now that Embiid is off, 10, 11K salary, I think a lot of that salary is going to Sabonis. If I look at my initial projection run and sort it by most fantasy points to the least, Sabonis projects as a top 10 play in fantasy points. So I even could see him being a top 1 play. Like I said, if we get no Goga, we get no O'Shea, we've just recently seen Sabonis lead the entire slate in fantasy points, dropping over 70 in an overtime game against the Thunder. And then the Clippers are very erratic, sporadic, hard to predict from a minute standpoint, and a lot of their minute rotation really depends on the game flow. We've seen Ty Lue bench these guys at half if they're struggling. We saw that against Washington. They were on the right side of a blowout yesterday, ironically, and then we saw bench guys get run. Justice Winslow get a lot of run. Ultimately, I feel like I'm just going to project everyone at mid-20s in minutes, and I think none of those guys are going to rise to the top for me unless we get some news that Nick Batum's going to be out or Marcus Morris is going to be out. And then I would heighten my expectation and exposure to a guy like Terrence Mann at 3,800 on DraftKings. If I can get that 21-minute projection with those guys in to go back up to 30+, I'll get some shares of Terrence Mann. Maybe some Amir Coffey's the guy we can get to 30+ minutes. But for the time being, Clippers are going to be a team I'm pretty soured on in terms of self-exposure. I might cap it at 1. I could see a Reggie Jackson pop, a Kamir, you know what I'm saying? Amir Coffey, stuff like that. But I need something to make this path for success a little bit clearer. But maybe in a purely competitive game, Marcus Morris is live no matter what. But Morris is this would be his second game back from his personal stretch of games being out. And we saw earlier this year him being active on night 2 of a back-to-back and not playing, not speculating that could happen here, but it could happen here. We saw him play a back-to-back earlier this year, Memphis and then Atlanta. So it's definitely not outside of the realm of possibility for him to go back-to-back. I'm just saying it's a possibility that he would potentially be a healthy scratch. Do you like Seth for cash, Seth Curry? We'll dive into all the Sixer stuff in the very next game. But for cash seems a little bit volatile. I guess baseball, I would ask, what site do you mean for cash? Because Seth Curry's price point is right there with Josh Giddey on Fanduel, and I'm always going to go Josh Giddey in that split, you know. Big Bino says, last 7 games, Memphis giving up the most fantasy points to forwards. I think might be top 3. I can see that. This dude is so annoying, adding A's to the end of his sentence. Oh, I'm out. Sorry, Tony. Sorry, Tony. Toto. I'll tune into your perfect podcast. He gone. Dak, I think trade rumors getting to Levert. He just, yeah, maybe. I don't know if it's that. I think it's a combination of tough matchups, foul troubles. But yeah, I'm willing. If the ownership's low enough, I'll be there on him. Get those likes up. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hit them thumbs up. Don't let the A's get in good content away out. Yeah, I don't know, man. People are weird. People like Tony are just weird, man. We don't want them around anyway. Most definitely listen to your boy Lorenzo. Hit that like button. Let's go. All right, let's move on to the next game. Memphis Grizzlies. At the 76ers. Project starting 5, Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Zaire Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams. Let's go home.
Let's go home. Let's go home. Let's go home.
Heard they'd do anything for a Klondike. I'd do anything for a blonde Diuk.
Whoa.
Kanye.
You can't tell me nothing. Damn wrong with the 499 dono. Yo, did that put you back as the largest D? I don't think it did. Maybe it will. I don't know. Yeah. Grizzlies project starting 5. Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Zaire Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., Stone Cold, Steven Adams. What? Up against Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, Andre, the Giant, Drummond. We got a 217.5 total, 3.5 point spread in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies, a relatively clean sheet of questionables. Tyus Jones is the last of the Mohicans for questionables, and then Dylan Brooks still out. As long as Dylan Brooks is out, I'm expected to be somewhat safe in terms of shot expectation and usage for Desmond Bain, especially safe for Ja Morant. And then Jaren Jackson has just been thriving here. The 76ers without Joel Embiid, man. Just think about Joel Embiid's stretch lately. 30 real points a game, double-digit rebounds. The usage is through the roof. What happens when you take that out of the equation? Well, let's see if NBA Wowie tool via addmorefunds.com can help us out. Exclamation point AMF in the chat if you want a piece of that. Let's put Embiid off the court. Let's put Tobias on the court and just see what we get back from a season sample size. We have Tobias Harris at a team-leading 30% usage rate, a 23% assist rate, and nearly a 1.2 DraftKings fantasy points per minute rate. Below him, Andre Drummond, 1.2 DraftKings fantasy point per minute. Usage not quite in the realm of Tobias Harris, but for Drummond, we're looking for big rebound numbers. We're looking for potential blocks, and we're looking at 4,400 on FanDuel, 3,700 on DraftKings. I'm getting back nearly 40 fantasy points, over 40 fantasy points on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I mean, we just click it or tick it, right? Set it and forget it. That might be lock levels of exposure for me, at least on DraftKings. On FanDuel, a lot of the centers I was interested in today have forward eligibility. So Drummond looking like the highest owned play on the slate, more than likely. And then Tobias Harris, he's a curious click here. So at 1.2 fantasy points per minute, cross him up with a tough interior defense, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson Jr., guys like that, you do wonder if he's going to blow his price tag out the water. I would expect him to get a decent chunk of ownership. So that might be where I get a little bit different. I don't think he's a bad play per se, but I don't think he's, this ain't 7K Tobias Harris. At 8K, my numbers are really just getting me a little over 40 fantasy points, and I might try and skin the cat somewhere else. But 40 plus is great. So I don't let me scare you off with Tobias Harris if you will take 40 plus. I am just thinking about spending that money a little bit elsewhere from this far out, and depending on his ownership, I might put him in my tier 3 exposure rates. I guess StatMuse would be a good tell here for Toby's stuff. Sabonis is out. Yikes. Well, top 2 centers are off the board. It's like Family Feud. Anytime Sabonis gets rolled out, I wonder if there's been a trade. Health protocols. Oh, well. So that's gonna. So we were talking about Karis LeVert, right? Probably going to change some things and a lot of opinions on Karis LeVert. So Tobias Harris DKP by game log without Joel Embiid last 10 games. It's kind of keying on this year. Ironically, the last game was against Memphis. Is Joel Duck and Steven Adams, 25 minutes, 18.5 fantasy points, 5 for 12. Yeah, man, there's enough pushback for me to not be excited. So intriguing. Tony's out here. What up, Fish fan? Is Karis a play again? Yeah. If you want, I'll rewind it in a minute. We'll go revisit that. So yeah, give me Drummond here, and then Maxey and Seth Curry. You guys discussed some interest in playing them. I think that's fine. I think we'll expect them to be, at least Seth Curry will probably be top 2 in shot attempts. Korkmaz is questionable. Not that it's a giant interference with Seth Curry's minutes here, but a couple extra minutes to rely on. Another guy I might look at is Gorgeous Yang, 3,500 on both sites. I got 28 minutes on him. Not getting a crazy projection, and maybe a different slate he would project much better. But yeah, and John Morant. I got John Morant as one of the best plays on the slate if we're looking at pure raw points. I got him with Adebayo, Curry, Morant, guys that are projecting extremely well, really big usage rates. Even Adebayo, I'm not thrilled about, but he's too cheap to ignore here. And this is certainly sizing up to be a overpay for safety type of slate, right? For studs and scrubs. The studs today may not be the normal 70 fantasy point guys. We just might be trying to spend some money because a lot of value perceptually is opening up the ability to go out there and maybe pay for 4-5x return from a 9K 10K guy. So maybe that'll circle back some Tobias Harris potential pessimism. Jaren Jackson Jr. before we go backwards to the Pacer spot. 6,700 on DraftKings, 7,500 on Fanduel. I mean, his stretch of just incredible stocks lately is nuts. It's entered him into some Defensive Player of the Year conversations, and I think against the Sixers front court now without Joel Embiid, they're definitely going to take a step backwards, so Jackson could flourish. And then we will go back. Oh, you don't know Tony from the group? Tony, and Tony? Tony Bag of Donuts, huh? What do you think about putting 3-4 Blazers in a team would differentiate my team? I mean, I think it definitely would. I don't know if it's the right move, but I don't know how many Nurkic, Simons, McCollum, Powell, 3 or 4s are going to be out there, Props still up on PrizePicks. Let's go, Jason. Oh, it's gone now. Yeah, they're quick with it, but usually you can get a minute or two before they pull it. All right, so let's go revisit the Pacer situation since we have the opportunity. So I mentioned Isaiah Jackson. So that's not going to change Goga and O'Shea right now from not being questionable. So if there's a world where O'Shea, Brissett, Goga, Bataze are also out while Sabonis is out, this kid Isaiah Jackson's been a little bit of a firecracker, man, from a fantasy standpoint. 4,100 on DK. He is forward eligible. Look at his per minute production. 28.5 fantasy points against Dallas. A little bit of garbage run, but that's easier said than done. Against Charlotte, he did what he's supposed to do. I mean, his efficiency per minute is nuts. The foul rate is also nuts. He fouled out in those 18 minutes against Dallas, 5-5. So, maybe a little Marquise Chris-esque play here, but he's cheap enough that if the cards fell the right way, where Sabonis, Goga, and Brissett were all out, it looks like he could be in line for more minutes than he's ever played if he keeps his hands to himself. So somebody would keep an eye on. And then let's go talk about LeVert again, because this certainly changes a lot for Karis LeVert. You take off Sabonis. That I think I told you why I have this habit of saying It's twofold. When I was 16, 17, I initially got into online media, podcasting, live radio, stuff like that. And it was drilled into me that dead air was bad air. And I would just always, so that there was always some type of input coming in, right? And then once I got into the real world, I did a lot of security. I did security for the NFL, for NCAA, TCU, SMU, stuff like that. And then after that, I got into the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, right? And a lot of radio traffic there. I got promoted to sergeant. And if you stop making noise on our live radio, with so many officers having a radio, they'll just assume your traffic is over. We don't say over, you know what I mean? So that's why I have this habit of just like always trying to project audio. So shout out to Tony, but yeah, if you guys are ever curious why that is, maybe we'll get to some speech therapy that can stop that. Sabonis, Brogdon, and Turner out, and let's put LeVert on the court. DK's dead air is becoming a fantasy classic for me. Oh man. Karis LeVert, 25.6% usage rate in this split with a 30% assist rate. So maybe we'll get some decent assist numbers to come back up. Still not crushing the fantasy point per minute numbers here, 101, 0.94. But if the minutes are going to be mid 30s, I can get behind some of it. But more so, maybe we're looking at some individual assist props, stuff like that, right? Speaking of Isaiah Hartenstein, to play tonight? Maybe. I don't think so, unless Zubac gets rolled out or something like that. I think Hartenstein's often attached to an unpredictable thing going his way. So, for instance, we pull up the Clippers last night. Somehow, the Clippers blew out the Charlotte Hornets, and because of that, Isaiah Hartenstein was able to play the entire fourth quarter, and he's per minute a great player, but you don't expect him to be that involved in the actual rotation. So like I feel like that's a little bit of run good against the Miami Heat. A little bit more neutral game, just 15 minutes there. Remember that Wizards game where he started the second half because they were down 35 points at half, and Lou benched like 3 of the starters, Zubac included. Zubac didn't touch the court in the second half, and Hartenstein pretty much played all the second half. So a lot of the Hartenstein stuff, if you don't put context to it, could be a little misleading on what his actual role is, and for him to be that involved, kind of like Şengün earlier this year. There's a lot of moving pieces that are making his minutes be what they are. I knew you looked cop-ish. Yeah, maybe. Never rocked the beard when I was in the security days, Missed the beginning. What did you think about the Rumble? Man, the Rumble sucked. Pardon my French. I like Tatum, Wiggins, Harris, LeVert, Van Vliet, Young. There, I think those are all pretty liable. Gunn would body somebody. Gunn has been in some prison fights, I'll tell you that. How old am I? 30, either 32 or 33. I forgot. What side? Whatever 1988 is. I'm college. I took speech, and was something my professor hated, but also a nature response for speech while we're processing sentences. Yeah, it's really, really hard to break it. But I've never tried or cared. You're a color. All right, let's get to the Hawks game here, and I'll have to go back and change some projections for the other spot. Raptors at the Hawks. Project starting 5 for the Raptors. Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam up against Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella. 215s are total. 1.5 point spread for the visiting Toronto Raptors. So earlier, DeAndre Hunter and Trae Young listed as questionable. Trae Young was not expected to be questionable. And those midday cues are always iffy. And I always try to prepare for them to be out. But this is a little bit different than, previously when Trae Young would miss because Cam Reddish isn't on the team. DeAndre Hunter is probable now. But we might be expecting DeLon Wright, maybe some ball handling for Bogdan Bogdanovic, Kevin Huerter, Lou Will. I guess DeLon Wright would be the safest guy that we expect to probably start at the point guard position tonight if Trae Young can't go. So something to keep an eye on there. If that is the case, he is really cheap on both sides. We talked about how Rondo could open up if Darius Garland's out. DeLon Wright could open up, and he's definitely not always the greatest of chalks, right? But the minutes should be there for him. Speaking of minutes being there, the Toronto Raptors, 35 plus minutes for every starter, 37 on 4 of the 5 starters is what I baselined the expectation at so far. Fred VanVleet, Siakam, they're live to play 40 minutes in regulation. The Atlanta Hawks are a bottom 5 team in defensive efficiency. Yo, Desmond, man, appreciate the sub, man. Welcome to the channel. So it's a great spot for all of the Raptors. I think that the Raptors are starting to get priced appropriately. But Fred VanVleet and Siakam talked about how this slate's gonna have so much value, or at least we're on pace to have so much value, where we just overpay for a little bit of safety here and there. So if you can get that 40 fantasy point out of almost 9K, you might just take it on a slate like this. Same with Siakam, 40 plus fantasy points at 89 to 9,600. I don't mind it. So might get to these guys just because of how many minutes they're playing, and it's just hard to pass up. If Trae Young did play, right, if he's ready to go, the price difference.
Let's go
home.
Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home.
Let's go home. I'm ready for the dunk contest.
Just a G Gentile with the second largest D dropping bars on the stream saying, for Tony.
What if we did a text-to-speech dono and just put after every word? Now it's a meme. Damra, I swear you got to be up there for close to largest D of the month. I don't know how this thing processes, but I feel like you've been dropping dollars in the collection plate a lot. So we'll keep an eye on that. By the way, Damra, you went to an Elton John concert the other day? How'd that go? Let the chat know. Yeah. Desmond said, just subscribe. Love the insight. Like OG and Gary Trent in this game. Gary Trent's certainly cheap enough, right? I think the 15 to 20 shot attempts, much like I just put a little context to Isaiah Hartenstein, I would say put a little context to Gary Trent's game log. 2 of his last 3 games came without Fred VanVleet, right? If we look at VanVleet, I believe he missed 2 games with knee soreness. So let's click Fred VanVleet. Yeah, his last game was against Miami on the 29th. Before that game was Portland on the 23rd. And then we pull up Gary Trent. His last 3 games, Miami, Chicago, Charlotte, and then Portland. So this Charlotte and Chicago game, Fred VanVleet wasn't in the game. So there was more potential shot volume for Gary Trent, who started as point guard, but Siakam did a lot of the ball handling, and he was able to get the 30-plus real points. And then the last game went to triple overtime. He played 56 minutes against Miami. So I think the last 3 games for Gary Trent, if you're just looking at game logs, could be very deceptive. And he got 5 steals in that game. So I would expect Gary Trent to be close to a 30 fantasy point player in a normal outcome with Fred VanVleet. And maybe if you want to put an aesthetic to that, Gary Trent last DKP by game log with Fred VanVleet last 10 games. I'm thinking 30 is more of the expectation in a regulation game, right? 50-30 triple overtime. Before that, 34, 30, 44, and then a lot of 20s, and these 20s are coming in 29, 35 minutes. So I do think the minutes will be closer to 35 than this 28, 29. But I definitely want to caution all you guys to be fully aware of what Gary Trent's last couple of games had going on for him to be such a good play. With that said, he is 6K, 5,800, could be top 2, top 3 in shot attempts, but it could also be 4th, 5th in shot attempts because this offense is so evenly spread out. But that many minutes against this defense definitely makes him live. I got him for about 30 fantasy points. Gun, who done got to you last night? Who got to me last night? What do you mean? What did I do? Elton John is a musical genius that has shaped music since the 70s. And you can tell everybody. The Slack notification, perfect timing. Turn that off. They don't care about that. Good call on Trent Gunn. Yeah, they'd play him 50 minutes every night if they had to. Yeah, I mean, yes, the minutes are definitely there no matter what. But the triple overtime really added that. Oh, Damron did become the largest D. Shout out to Damron for now having the largest D of the month. What up, Dave? Hey, Gun Ducker. What is the health status of Kevin Porter Jr.? So he got into health and safety protocol, so the Rona, and he only missed one game. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he's only listed as questionable because how often do players miss one game in health and safety protocols? Which means if he can play, it probably indicates a false positive or something like that. But I also feel like that would have been reported by now. So I'm just assuming that he's closer out than in. But for right now, we got him questionable. But I think you're not gonna miss just one game, It's the Hebrew name for Jesus. I thought when you said Gentile, you were talking about the Bible. Oh man. These nuts joke. Good one, Gun. That boy Doug. Shout out to Doug. Isaiah Robinson. The Lakers are still winning the finals. I'm with it. I like what as long as my boy Westbrook's involved, man. I want to see him thrive in the hate to. Like my boy Odell, man. Where was it? Y'all remember a couple months back when I went on a rant about Odell, and he's done nothing but make me proud. I want to start the next game, but I see there's a dono about to come in, and I don't know what the lag is between the alert or not. Must have got him. I mean, hey, Keith, maybe the booster shot has something to do with it, Tony Toto was Elton John's Tiny Dancer. There we go. Hold me closer. Tiny Dancer.
Let's go home. Let's go home.
Let's go home.
Just trying to keep my largest D tag.
Shout out to Fish. Man, let's go home. That's got me excited for the All-Star break, man. The dunk contest. That's always like the best. Heat at the Celtics. Project starting five for the Heat. Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, Bam Adebayo, taking on Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Robert Williams. We got 209.5 total, 6-point spread for the home team Boston Celtics. The Heat also coming off the heels of that triple overtime game. A lot of big minutes for them. The Heat, while they have 10 active, probably expect close to a 6-7 man rotation. I've got 8 guys in line for minutes. Silva and Udonis Haslem, especially Haslem, I don't expect them to really be involved. So it's going to be a lot of the starters in my simulations, in my model, to sound smart. And the guy that soaks up a lot of this usage, implied usage, is Bam Adebayo. And I'm having an internal struggle here because at the start of this slate last night, I was able to ignore Adebayo for Embiid, and then I was able to just play Sabonis. So now I'm running out of reasons to not get to Adebayo, who is currently projected to score the most fantasy points in my model. And I don't have the strongest of feelings about it. But let's run an on-off court query here, and you guys can maybe help me make a group decision on what we're doing with Adebayo today. I would imagine the fact that he's projected so well at such a cheap price, it's going to be hard not to have him in the mix here. And he's probably going to profile as one of the highest owned players now, especially on sites where he has that forward eligibility to duel with Andre Drummond in lineups. Oh, I took off Adebayo. Let's take off Jimmy G. Buckets. Jimmy Butler off. Kyle Lowry. Take him off. Let's put Adebayo on. A couple days ago, somebody left a comment and said that the way I say Adebayo, it irks them. So my speech is really making enemies, guys. Adebayo. Odd bio. I don't know, man. Let's say Adebayo. So my bad if that offends you, but yeah. Adebayo, 24.7% usage rate, 1.4 fantasy point per minute this season off the court, or on the court with Butler and Lowry off the court. So we'll stick with that as the good, right? And then a 26.7% assist rate, and we have seen him last season. I believe he had some triple doubles in similar splits. So I'm gonna elongate on that a little bit. We'll open up to last year just to add some more minutes to sample sizes. Yes, there's going to be more players in the mix. No, I didn't take off PJ Tucker. I didn't think that would matter. If anything, it just helps Adebayo's assist rate. I guess we could take off Jaragic and Nunn and guys like that. But ultimately, the point I'm trying to drive home is that I do think Adebayo has a lot of uses and a lot of potential assist boost rate, right? He's got a 33% assist rate since the beginning of last year in a similar split, or excuse me, 36% assist rate in a similar split with a 24.6% usage rate. The assist part I like, so I'm privy to targeting maybe some assist props for Adebayo. But what scares me is the real points here, and I'll explain once my rocket ship. Actually, let's go back to PrizePicks. Let's pull up the Heat. Let's see what they had for Adebayo. They don't have any. Oh, they do. They have them at. They don't have assist props for Adebayo. That's first half, ain't it? My bad. Assists. They have 4.5 assists. So, just like Tobias Harris, I'm digging that. And with that assist rate being so high, it makes a lot of sense. And then the 40 fantasy points, I'm well over that. So here's my devil's advocate speech, right? If we go pull up that team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet and sort the league from fewest points in the paint allowed to most, the fewest is Miami. The third fewest is Boston. And Boston, against a traditional big like Adebayo, in the sense that his shot, he's not a stretch five, right? He's not going to chuck threes. You look at his recent game logs, there's 1 3-point attempt in his last 20. Like, he doesn't chuck three. So a lot of his scoring is going to be in the paint and within the perimeter. And I don't know if I expect a lot of success considering how good the Celtics have been at preventing that. So I'm willing to target a lot of his assist numbers, and I think the rebound numbers are fine as well, but I'm scared about wanting 20 plus role points and stuff like that. But sometimes minutes and usage can trump matchup, and good players, great players can be good bad matchups, right? So what are you guys thinking on Adebayo there? That was just kind of like the angel and devil on my shoulder about Adebayo's situation here. I think I definitely want to attack his assist prop on PrizePicks, but 8,100 on Fanduel, 7,500 on DraftKings. My own model is baking him in as like the best fantasy player on the slate from a raw fantasy point projection standpoint. So I guess I got to honor it. But man, I don't feel great. And the other thing I'd maybe point out here is that this game could really hit the under. I think earlier this year they had a game where neither team scored like 90 real points. So let me look at that and let's see what happened. Bam Adebayo, DKP by game log versus Celtics last 5 games. If Young is out, you can pivot from Bam to Collins. You could. I don't know if I'd 13 role points earlier this season in a similar split. Last couple games against the Celtics, not really enough context, and this is going into last season, 22, 20, 15, 32 role points. But earlier this year, 30 minutes, and in that game we had Butler, Lowry, so everyone was in. But with everyone in, the Heat scored 78 and the Celtics 95. So I do think a lot of the Heat defensive metrics take a plummet here without Lowry, without Butler. So I'm a little bit more enamored by getting to some Celtics against maybe a dead-legged Heat team without their best player. But the Adebayo situation has me on edge. All these other players for the Heat, though, they should get plenty of run for how short-staffed their rotation is, and each one of them can thrive at their price point. Might have to start creating some governing rules, driving some wedges. Caleb Martin's min-price on DK, or almost min-price, 3,500. I forgot 3K's min-price. Duncan Robinson might be, top 2, top 3 in shot attempts here. And then Tyler Hero, likely top 1 in shot attempts. And if it's not going to be Adebayo, maybe I should really act on some more Tyler Hero to get by here. So what are you guys doing with the Heat? Are you just gonna take the plunge with Adebayo? If I let the robot do the thinking for me, Adebayo's the best player on the slate, right? If I let my heart and my mind take control, I start getting a little bit more nervous about the situation. And if his, if a floor game or a range of outcome is like 40, and if it's a more common than 10-20% range outcome that he gets to barely 40, like I might sit on the other side if his ownership gets too high, right? You want to win, let Bam spin. All right, Keith, I'm with that. It rhymes. It has to. It can't not work, So Hero's a better choice than Strus for just straight up fantasy points. Yeah, Kyle Guy is also there, and as dumb as this sounds, we've seen Kyle Guy go nuts in limited minutes. They have a lot of just guys that could just bank on real scoring, like Strus, Robinson, but guys like Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero, I'd feel a little bit more confident in their ability to get me some peripherals as a floor. Who else maybe thrived in this split here? Tyler Hero, 22% usage rate, less than a fantasy point. Like, no one kills it for the fantasy points here. Let me go back to this season just to maybe get a sharper look at. Yeah, no one's going nuts. Duncan Robinson about a fantasy point per minute, but there's not a lot that's going off here to feel overly confident. So if this slate's going to give us a few spots for value, the Heat might end up being one of the lowest implied team totals. I might use that as an excuse to go the other way. And that's just, part of leveraging the slate. So if it works, it works. If it kills me, it kills me. Gabe Vince is probably still too cheap, What's up, Tyrell? Doing all right? What makes you much higher on him than other projections? King, I didn't have a lot of time to tighten the screws. It's just an algorithm, right? It takes into consideration the usage fluctuation, stuff like that. I think I will have to demote some of these numbers. 54 is probably too aggressive, but I still think mid-40s is going to be like the least I end up with in terms of his projection. And even if it's a tough, grinded out 40 fantasy points, 7,500 for 40 is still right there for the taking. So it's never a bad play. And we keep losing centers to make him a better play, make those 40-plus fantasy points that much more live to be optimal with no Sabonis, no Embiid, right? And then on DraftKings, if you're starting every lineup with a Drummond, maybe Adebayo you can blink over him. You can justify Christian Wood. We'll talk about Siakam 40 minutes in a matchup against Atlanta. Nurkic is in a great matchup against the OKC front court that has been so bad that they sent JRE to the G League. So there is some wiggle room to go the other way. But in terms of just being locked into center early, I guess if Jonas Valanciunas got ruled out, maybe center only Adebayo gets moved out the way for Hernan Gomez and Drummond lineups. I think that's possible, but it just feels like we're running out of options to argue against Adebayo. How do you usually approach your value players? Do you key in on your preferences or you set a percentage? So I have levels to this, right? So it is in the spreadsheet every day for DraftKings and Fanduel. I create 3 tiers of players, tier 1, 2, 3, ownership appropriate to the ranking. And then I have 2 tiers for value, core value and risky value. Now it's slate subjective and it's also contingent to the probability of success, failure rate, ownership, where I need to be at to leverage the field. On a slate like this, like on DraftKings, I mean, this is the extreme example, but Andre Drummond is just horrendously too cheap for a number that I'm probably going to project 10x on. So he might just be a lock in 20 lineups. But the more fringe value guys, like maybe a Gabe Vincent or somebody like that have path to not, being a smash play, Rondo, somebody like that, those would be guys I start, weighing my ownership and then really observing what the ownership projections are. I think today, if you guys haven't utilized it, I think Osmo has free ownership projections today. So if you're on the edge about Osmo stuff, you should definitely get it because it's so good. But the ownership projections are so important for fantasy. So if you can get a free taste of it today and kind of utilize those ownerships to really start making some leverage based decisions, that's definitely a smooth process. But for me, if it's a can't miss value guy, and if I'm running 50 or less or 20 or less, I might get to lock territories, and then we'll go studs and scrubs as much as we can and spin the more volatile studs, because just based on variance, 11, 10K players are going to be more volatile to get you what they need than the value guys at 30 minutes. With some substance to that, right? Everyone hates Chris says, I want to play Bam, but I think I'm going to go hero, only just me to go. I think that's, fine. Keith says, can't believe a Texas guy doesn't recognize that slogan. All right. I'm in Texas. Yes. Would you say I'm a Texas guy? Maybe. I get the best of the Texas, the barbecue, the eat. I ain't missing meals, I'll tell you that. But I'm from Staten Island, New York, okay? I don't know. Maybe. Permian. Don't they have a football team that's always like in the state championship? Trey Man, OKC, yeah, maybe. What up? Let's go, Brandon. Is Clay the man tonight? I think Clay's viable against the Rockets. I think everyone's live against the Rockets. The only thing with Clay is you still expect a glass ceiling in terms of minute projections and expectations, so it might remove some upside. But if you wanted to get to him, go for it. More so for me, I get to Clay exposure in betting props. Fading the Heat sounds better and better. Boston seems good. Yeah, Boston's a good defense. Miami got nobody playing. Did Gundecker ever live in New York? Yeah, I'm from South Beach, A+. Staten Island, rise up. I've lived it everywhere, but my roots are in New York for sure. Which player would you roster in your lineup without Adebayo? If in context of that question, if you're asking who would I still like, would I want somebody from the Heat but not Adebayo? I mean, Tyler Hero probably. But I'm getting good projections on Gabe Vincent for his price. Very similar range of outcomes to, we talked about Gary Trent, right? I'm getting a good projection on Caleb Martin at $3,500. I'm getting nearly 30 fantasy points right now. Again, not a great matchup, right? But minutes equal money, and those minutes become more lucrative the cheaper and cheaper a player is. So if you can get near 30 minutes out of a $3,500 player, I'll take it. Dude got to eat, Dude's wearing a Yankees hat. I don't think he's a Texas guy. Yeah, I love Texas though. Don't get me wrong, but probably not the first way to recognize or to describe me. Dedmon should see 2024. Yeah, Dwayne Dedmon could play. It wouldn't be unlike Adebayo to stretch out a little bit more. Maybe play some four, something like that. Maybe you get with the Celtics play big. Maybe you get an Adebayo Dedmon line together, right? A little bit of overlap. So I don't think that's a bad line of thought considering this matchup. 2/3. Appreciate the sub, man. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. He loves the Yankees more than life. Love me some Yankees. How about Schuster Allen play for me? Bronx Bombers. Let's go, baby. Aaron Judge. I got a picture of Aaron Judge and Odell Beckham that I thought about putting on the back screen here. Sorry, chat. I forgot to turn Slack off. Kings at the Knicks. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Harrison Barnes, Chemezi Metu, Rashawn Holmes taking on Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. A Knicks lineup so good that Tom Thibodeau thought that we should have it last night. Yes, they reported this stuff last night, so shout out to the Knicks for putting out the same lineup that we fully expected. Kings, we don't know what to expect from them, but what we do know is Terrence Davis is going to be out. Marvin Bag alert. He's going to be out, and De'Aaron Fox is questionable, and he's missed a stretch of games. So there's still a world where Tyrese Halliburton, maybe Buddy Hield, Davion Mitchell, guys like that start. We could get a 3-guard set. We could get Harrison Barnes at the 4. We could get Chimezie Metu at the 4. But let's talk about these Knicks, because on paper, this is a really slow game. The Knicks have the slowest pace in the league, I believe. Yeah, right below Miami. But they do have the benefit of, one, chucking a ton of threes, 2, facing a Kings defense that is league worst, the second worst in the league. So I feel like I'm somewhat interested in at least perusing through the Knicks, and the price points on FanDuel feel a little bit more soft than DK. Julius Randle at 8,300. He's been a topic of a lot of what's going on conversation, and I like to play devil's advocate. I like to put some game theory, what's happening. Look at, first of all, let's go look at the team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. Points in the paint allowed. The 5th best team at defending points in the paint, Milwaukee. The 1st best team, Miami. Well, that's 2 of his last 3 games. Cleveland's not great. They're more league average, but Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's one of the best forward and big defenders in all of basketball. So he's had 3 tough games in a row of not great matchups. And then on the way opposite end of this spectrum, the Sacramento Kings give up the most points in the paint. They're bleeding, hemorrhaging fantasy points to opposing bigs. And they don't have Marvin Bagley here. So this front court rotation could be a lot of Rashawn Holmes. Could be some Alex Len. Could be some Tristan Thompson, guys like that. And at 8,300 on FanDuel, Julius Randle is going to be tied for the most minutes on the team, more than likely, with RJ Barrett. Maybe there's a good bounce back spot for the FanDuel price point to be great. And maybe there's a world where within 200 fantasy dollars on FanDuel that he could outscore an Adebayo every now and then, making him a more lucrative at the end of the night, much lower owned at the end of the night play than Adebayo. So something to think about. I definitely don't want to be the reason any of you guys get off of what you're going to do to play some Knicks. It's not what I'm trying to do. Joey Valentine. Appreciate that. That's a good name. Joey Valentine. Son of Greg the Hammer. And what's the bearded guy from the old Memphis wrestling days? Somebody help me out. I feel like he was a Valentine. Yeah, so I just think Julius Randle on FanDuel has a shot to be a play today. Same with RJ Barrett. I think all these guys have a shot at a bottom 2 defense and a lot of minutes. Kind of like the Raptors, right? You're going to play minutes against a bottom defense. You're liable to be a good play. Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, much less interest in them, but Kemba Walker is 4,500 on FanDuel, about a $1,000 discount to his DK price point. He's liable to play 20 to 30 minutes. If you get closer to 30 minutes, matchup could pay him off here. Same with Evan Fournier. Fournier just seems to go off when you least expect it, and he's under 5K. So how often does he get 30-plus fantasy points? Hopefully never here, and more of the usage and the good game goes back towards Randle, right? If Fournier and Kemba have a good game, usually means Randle's not. So hopefully we can game script this to be more of a Randle spot. And last game, it made more sense for Fournier to do well, as the Milwaukee's top 5 in defending points in the paint. They're like top 2 in allowing points via the 3-ball. So that's where Fournier made more sense. So I don't know. I was just talking out loud, getting through it. We do have, I think Nerlens Noel might be in here, so this front court might get a little bit more cluttered. Mitchell Robinson, Taj Gibson, guys like that. But I just wanted to really speak on the Randle stuff that was going through my mind. Do you guys have any sharp takes on this game? Any Kings interest? Any Knicks interest? Am I on a boat? The bonus is out. That's been a thing, brother. Jimmy Valiant, not Valentine. Okay, good. So out the damn wrong. The boogie. What was it? The boogie woogie. I don't know. Boogie woogie man. Don't think the stars and scrub plays is needed tonight. I don't think it's needed in the sense that I don't think the studs get to like 70 fantasy points like a normal slate this size would be. But you're going to have to spend money, right? We're not going to take all the value. We're going to have to put money somewhere. So I think Ja Morant just might get coagulated ownership if everything falls the right way. And then on the Kings side here, while we're here, if Fox is out, Tyrese Halliburton, 7,700 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings. Kind of spin the wheel, make a deal. But the price point is okay for 40 plus. Like I said with, Adebayo, maybe the matchup and the pace could be better. But 37 to 40 minutes in potential competitive basketball game without Fox and Bagley. His assist rate's going to be pretty high, 7 assists or greater every game so far. Buddy Hield, Davion Mitchell might get extra minutes here, and the range of outcome for 50 fantasy points is there. He's done that twice in his last 4 games, so not a fun click, but one of those leverage some of the higher owned guys in your pool with some lower owned guys that might get you there, and I don't mind taking point guard. Point guard has been the path of least resistance when it comes to fantasy points per game to the Knicks, right? Everything's green, meaning they don't allow a lot of fantasy points a game, but the point guard spot has a little bit of brown in it. Why did I just turn into the macho? Is it okay to play 3 Golden State players in one lineup today, said Jim? I think so. If it's the right ones, I think Wiggins, Kuminga, right? You can make cases for those guys. And then if you're on FanDuel, I think Steph Curry's still a little too cheap, almost $2K cheaper than his DK price. Man, I gotta turn this off, man. I don't know how to do it from my phone. I don't want to open it here. Mitch, Noel's back. Yeah, I'm not there. All right. We got 2 games left on the docket. Golden State Warriors at the Rockets. Project 35 for the Warriors. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, Kevin Looney. Taking on maybe Kevin Porter Jr., but probably not. Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Jayshawn Tate, Christian Wood. A 230 total, 11-point spread. A lot to like here. Some stuff to be pessimistic about. For playing check boxes in terms of what your process might appreciate a 230 total. And as a starting point, Houston has the worst defensive rating in all of basketball. And then when it comes to pace, yeah, they got that too. They lead the league in pace. The pushback here is double-digit spread, leaves the door open for a blowout. However, the Warriors are a little bit shorter staffed than usual, so maybe Steve Kerr doesn't just give everyone 20 minutes and laugh at us later in the night, with guys like Iguodala out, Draymond Green out, Otto Porter out, and potentially Nemanja Bjelica out. The wing and front court rotation could be a little bit tighter. Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, all those guys could just get their run. And if the Rockets can find a way to keep it within 20, I'm not going to overthink the propensity of the blowout to keep me away from some good fantasy place. Steph Curry's price difference from FanDuel to DraftKings is pretty stark. Let's go home.
Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home.
Is that euros?
Let's go home. Let's go home.
Oh, I get it.
Goat.
I appreciate that, man. Euros, huh? Yeah, shout out to Europe. I appreciate that, King Conte, man. That's love. So I think the Warriors are all very, very stackable, even on FanDuel. The 11K on DraftKings for Steph Curry, yeah, I get it. Like, he could just be another Ja Morant in the bucket at the end of the night. And his volatility game to game, his poor shooting has been really, really rough. But 9,300 on FanDuel, we're getting dang near 2K difference. Lamont Jet, man, appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel. You guys are going nuts right now. 250. There's only 315, bro. What's the odds we get to like 300 viewers? That would be insane. And the subs are going nuts too, man. You guys are awesome. Hit that thumbs up while you're at it, though. Let me find out. We got 250 viewers and like 60 likes. 73. Come on, you guys can get to 100. You guys can get to 100 likes. I know you can. Let's raise that the Hall of Fame jersey. I think our record for likes is 160. So if you guys want to set some records, 300 concurrent viewers. I think 280 is our record. So if we broke 280, would be a new record. And then 160 is our like record on a live stream. So let's set some records, chat. Get them thumbs up going and flowing. Rockets, Kevin Porter Jr., man. He was downgraded to out last game, entering health and safety protocols, which, the Rona. Usually you see guys miss 3, 4, 5 games with that, but for some reason no one's reporting him out today. Everyone still has him with a questionable tag on him. So it leaves me to speculate, was it a false positive? Was it a booster? You know what I mean? Like what the heck is it that he's not automatically presumed out again? Friday to Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So depending on how long he was, I don't know what the rules are anymore. I just don't. But sites are only listing him as questionable. It would seem like he's got to be out. It's crazy to expect him to clear protocol that fast, but I guess you just never know. If he does, we might see Garrison Matthews benefit in his absence again. Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, all guys that could spread minutes with some ball handling responsibilities, plenty of shot volume. And then Christian Wood, 8,200 on FanDuel, 8,600, right there with maybe Julius Randle as maybe not as contrarian as Julius Randle, but a guy that would benefit in Kevin Porter's absence in a game where his team is implied to bust over 100 real points. And Christian Wood without KPJ on the court, it's going to profile well from a usage standpoint. And the Warriors front court has definitely been a little less tough without Draymond Green. So some stuff to like on the Rockets side, but there's a lot on the Warriors side that I can't say no to. Andrew Wiggins at 6K on FanDuel, I'm digging quite a bit. Kevin Porter Jr. is a little bit reckless with the ball. If we pull up his game log lately, kind of show you guys what I mean. Just looking at that turnover column, 4, 1, 1, 6, 2, 3, 4. His recklessness has added to the Rockets. If we look at this team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, look at steals per game allowed. The Rockets lead the league in steals per game allowed, almost 10. So maybe that number goes down a little bit if Kevin Porter's not in, but still 10's a hefty number. So there's plenty of implied steals to go around. Andrew Wiggins, a guy that averages almost a steal per game. Steph Curry, 1.5 steals per game. So there's some defensive peripherals to be had here. And then also, keeping those defensive metrics in mind, blocks per game allowed, if we sort of from most to least. Houston is third in the league in blocks per game allowed, and that's just going to naturally happen with the pace being what it is, just more volume to go around. Andrew Wiggins, half a block per game. Kevin Looney, almost a block per game, and half a steal. So plenty of room to like defensive peripherals for these FanDuel prices that are already softer than the DK pricing and more rewarding. And Steph Curry's 50 fantasy point projection looks a lot better at 9,300 than 11K. So I like a lot about the Warriors here. Somebody asked, could you get the 3 Warriors tonight? I think on FanDuel you absolutely could. And then if Bielisa got ruled out, would really raise the stakes on Kuminga and likeliness of Kuminga being a solid value. I had a hankering for Kevin Looney this morning. He's been a rebound hog. He has been a little bit of a foul guy, but Andre Drummond kind of made him irrelevant in that thought process. And if Jonas Valanciunas were to get ruled out, he's so close to Guillermo Hernan-Gomez, Willie Hernan-Gomez in price point, you would just go Hernan-Gomez for the ceiling upside here. But from a Rocket standpoint, increasing rebound potential and all those defensive peripherals, 15, 6, 9, 6, 12 rebounds last couple games. And the main problem for him is these fouls. 5 fouls against Brooklyn, 6 fouls against Minnesota. In 24 minutes, he fouls out against Cat. And Christian Wood could be a bargain bin Cat type situation if Wood's usage spikes up in the absence of Porter. So there's really not a reason to get to Looney now. But this morning I liked him, and I thought you should know that. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Let's get caught up on chat before we move on to the final one. Is Matua play on DraftKings, or do you think his minutes will still be limited? I think I don't think I'm running to play anyone against the Knicks front court here. Not at a price point where I think we have several 4K options tonight. I think he's a play, right? We've seen him put up high 20s and 30s fantasy points, but it's against faster pace, more porous defenses. This is gonna be a slow pace matchup where the Knicks should have the advantage in the front court. So I think he'll be in my pool here, but he's not going to be a priority. So I guess the question is he in play? Yeah, but is anything special for me? Probably not. And I would also just really want to, if I did want to get to him, I'd want to see his name in the starting lineup. I'm not saying that he isn't the projected starter, because right now I got him as the projected starter, but there's a world where like Mo Harkless starts or Harrison Barnes could get pushed down. You know what I mean? So he's in play, but I want to see him starting. Greg, appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel. Lamont says, let's go gun. Sorry, on another channel. So you put some solid. Man, I appreciate that, Lamont. I've been making the tours lately, huh? We did the Awesemo Slate Starter podcast this morning. Me and DFS Coach broke down this slate on the DFS Coach channel earlier. I did the Prize Pick show an hour before this stream. So this is my 4th time going through this slate, man. I'm hoping to know everything there is to know about this gosh dang slate by the time the first game tips, man. But every hour or so, we're getting pivotable news. We're getting big news. LeVert has been trashed. Yeah, yes. Since the bonus is Levert's not a lock at that price. We did do the splits, and he's about a fantasy point per minute. I do think he has a ceiling in big range tournaments or big field tournaments that's worth going after. And my exposure to him would be contingent on his ownership. I don't think he's going to gain a lot of steam with so many viable options around that price point. Pounds are stronger than the U.S. dollar, if I'm not mistaken. It makes sense. They definitely weigh more. Gun obviously. What up, Shadow? Thanks, Gun. That's how I feel about it too. Yeah. Won't be long before we're all using one currency. Let's go, baby. Pivotal. Let's go, baby. Osmo. Yeah, Osmo is definitely pumping, man. Osmo has so much content. It's nuts. We got one game left on the docket. If we do that, we'll take a pause for the cause. And 2 plugs. RunDFS.com. If you guys want to sign up for my content, my projections, my premium Discord, you can go to RunDFS.com. Find something right for you. There's a little something for everybody, whatever your budget is. Get into a community that literally has millionaires, man. Shout out to ABP. Was in the Tournament of Champions event yesterday in Arizona, mixing it up with all the big hitters. He has won 2 million makers since 2 Decembers ago. Golf million maker, NFL million maker. We got cats banking single entries, quarter arcades, mini maxes, man. They're doing it all. And I love this community, man. We got guys, no matter what your bankroll is, you're balling on a budget, whatever you play, we got room for you. And yeah, I lead the charge in NBA and baseball and football. But this community, man, they grind together. We're gonna be working on NASCAR as well. Daytona 500 in a couple weeks. And then we got another NFL weekend to take advantage of. But if you get a RunDFS.com membership, man, check out what it comes with. You get access to the premium Discord. I'm going to be in the pre-lock voice chat for 2 hours leading up to lock, maybe a couple minutes after. Tonight's a really good night for not having to sweat late swap until 10 p.m. If you guys want to join that Discord chat, you're welcome to. It's not just me talking. It's everyone hanging out. It's a brotherhood. It's a fraternity. And you guys grab a mic, join in, introduce yourself. And then you get access to the spreadsheet, which will have the index portal that we've been referencing, the metrics chart, and my player pool for both Fanduel and DraftKings with my tiers 1, 2, and 3. Not saying you have to follow it, just if you want to cross-reference your pool to mine. This is what I'm doing in my attack. And then Josh has been working on the prop detector, which has been a companion piece to the companion piece, the player props tab, for the emerging interest in Prize Picks. So we'll have Prize Picks chatter, props to hunt, and we have a Prize Picks channel in the Discord as well, where Quinn, who was on the prop show earlier today with Josh, they are crushing it in there, so you guys can share your picks and all that good stuff. So go be part of that. And if you haven't joined Prize Picks, you want to support the channel, sign up, use code GUNDACKER when you do. They will match your first deposit up to $100. $20 becomes $40. Why wouldn't you just give it a shot? 10x your money. Have some fun, simplify your daily process, reward your research. There's spots today. I mentioned my pessimism on Tobias Harris and Adebayo's pricing and matchup for DFS, but I love their assist props for Prize Picks. And generally speaking, when you get these big slates and all this news in the late swap, you ain't got to worry about it as much, right? You're just worried about your guy hitting the props, and it's not you versus geniuses with 150 lineups and software. It's just you versus the house, and the house tends to win, but we've been crushing it. So shout out to the crew, man. I want you guys to be part of that. Go to RunDFS.com, get signed up. We added the year pass, an amended year pass today. So there's an all-star special to get you to the all-star break July 20th for basketball, not an NBA one. Jesus, what, $330 for 2 weeks? And then there's one for the rest of the year, and they all come with a credit towards Fantasy Cruncher. So if you do use the optimizer, you can rebate the prices down, right? Just did my first draft on NBA Underdog. I don't think I enjoyed it. Is it so I haven't played these daily drafts. I do like the idea. I always thought the salary cap snake draft would be so good for DFS, but for NBA, man, it's hard because of all the scratches. But maybe for baseball it would be fun. The website's still up. Website should be still up. I don't see why it isn't. RunDFS.com. Yeah, website's still up. Unless you're trying to DDoS it, then no, it's not. Are they winning using your projections uploaded into FC? Yeah. My boy Fish Fan. It's so the upload process is, yeah, it's a little bit harder, right? You got to copy and paste to an Excel thing, but yeah, it's just upload projections. But I think NBA projections to me isn't like this might hurt sales, but it's not about projections in the NBA. I think most projection systems are pretty linear. Like there's a lot of parity in the numbers. I think the edge in DFS is ownerships and leverage and playing leverage properly versus the projections. I think all the projections are going to look alike. Which is better money, DraftKings or Sportsbook? What do you mean? Like fantasy or sports betting? Probably sports betting if you are good at it for player props. But I don't think that's I think it's a yes or no 1-to-1 question. Because sports books are pretty good at what they do. Leverage and ownership. Yeah, Keith. So like the basic law of leveraging ownership, right? So I don't know. Let's go look at player projection. And this is just situational. Let's say Steph Curry and John Morant. Let's just say they have the same projection today. Let's give them both 48 DraftKings points. And let's say John Morant's 40% owned and Steph Curry's 10% owned. So the average lineup is 4 times more likely to have Morant than it is Steph Curry. And let's just say mathematically standard deviation projections aren't to the number. Standard deviation could be 8 points. If you take 5 points away from John Morant, that's 43. You add 5 points to Steph Curry, 53. Steph Curry's a better play than John Morant, but 4 times more of the field has the other way around. So leveraging that range of outcomes. So just manipulating ownerships to your advantage, right? In a single day sample size, it's uncomfortable and it's sometimes putting you in some spots to make hard clicks. But that's what I mean by to me, that's where the edge is really in DFS. But I don't really believe in a site having exponentially better projections. So I'll never like come out here and tell you my projections are better than anybody because projections are all very similar. It's more so playing the game theory and the game itself. And for me, I think ownerships and leveraging ownerships is the biggest catalyst in a lot of takedowns. What up, Dave King? You doing all right, bro? All right, last game tonight, Blazers at the Thunder. Project starting 5 for the Blazers. Anthony Simons, CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Yusuf Nurkic taking on Josh Giddey, Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort, and Derek Favors. We got a 215 total, 4-point spread favor the visiting Blazers. So SGA's out for the Thunder. Isaiah Roby is out. He got called up in a transaction that involved Jeremiah Robinson Earl being sent down to the G League. So no JRE, no Isaiah Roby. So we're probably expecting some Derek Favors, maybe some Mike Muscala in the front court for the Thunder tonight. No matter what, we are without SGA. And in SGA's absence, it's easy to get excited and run toward the usage increase and the minutes potentially increase for guys like Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, and I'm going to be running with the rest of you guys. But I guess the theme of today's show is just playing devil's advocate and discussing game theory. Coming into this game, the Thunder were easily the worst offense in all of basketball, right? And that's with SGA. And if SGA is out, this Thunder offense could be really, really bad. And, it's apples to oranges because I don't think the Blazers are like the Grizzlies. And, the Grizzlies game, I think Dort was out. I think Dort and Giddey or Dort or Giddey were out. But we've seen this Thunder team get smoked without SGA. So I do worry about their ability to put up real points. But luckily for us, Dort and especially Giddey are guys that can accrue a lot of peripherals. I'm curious. Do we have a StatMuse tab open? We do. What is I don't know, Thunder offensive rating without SGA this season? Is StatMuse understand that? They have an offensive rating of 98.7 points per 100 possessions without SGA. That's not good. So I do want to taper my expectations. Now, the pushback here is when it comes to defense, Portland Trailblazers own one of the worst defenses in the league in terms of defensive efficiency, 114.6. So it's kind of like the unstoppable force, immovable object, bad offense, bad defense. What wins? So I don't know, just something I didn't want to not mention. But Josh Giddey, Fanduel price point is disrespectful. They had time to prepare for this. DraftKings at least put him over 7K. 5,700. I really have to wrestle with 20-50 lineups. Do I just lock that in? Shooting guard only, but that's just too cheap. I'm getting a dumb projection on him. Trey Mann is really cheap on both sites. Should really crush it in his time on the court. And then Lou Dort. So we ran this on-off court query a few times today. And if we pull up the Thunder, we'll do it one more time for the good time, and take off SGA and put on Dort and Giddey. They also have Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome's been a guy that could benefit, but I think that involves somebody else being out. But Ty Jerome's also just a pure point guard. Let's go back to on-off court tool. Lou Dort, 25% usage rate in a split with Giddey on the court. SGA off the court. Sanjay, welcome to the channel, man. Appreciate that sub. Y'all are crushing it. Josh Giddey, 24% usage rate in this split. Over a fantasy point per minute, 1.2 to be exact. So Giddey has the better per minute production for fantasy and a 40% assist rate. So I definitely don't mind attacking some of these Giddey props wherever I can get them. And I like a lot of assists today, man. I like the Giddey assist. I like the Tobias Harris assist, the Bam Adebayo assist. Giddey doesn't have, he has a 7.5 assist line. Maybe that's a little too high, and I just take the fantasy score. I still have some room for upside there. Maybe the PRA too. Is Giddey a guy? If he's not a big steal and block guy, I don't have to have the fantasy points, steal and blocks. Maybe I just take the PRA and Giddey. A couple turnovers too. Yeah, maybe PRA is the way to go for Giddey here. But Giddey's profiling pretty well. So give me some Giddey. Give me some Lou Dort. Past that, it gets a little bit on edge comfort-wise, but I think Trey Mann's going to be a fine value play to sprinkle in and spin the wheel on. You guys mentioned Kenrich Williams. I'm never overly enthusiastic to play him. We've seen him have games where he plays, high 30s, which I think for the Pelicans as well. And some of those games he crushes, some of the games he don't. So I'd be a little bit, I'd be responsible with how much I would have of him. And then in the front court, Derek Favors is bare bones min price on both sides. Him and Mike Muscola both really cheap, but just you don't need to, right? You got Andre Drummond, so like if you're gonna punt center, don't be crazy. Marcus Scott, man, I appreciate that sub. You guys are killing it. 277. We're so close to a record, y'all. We're so close to the season record on viewers. And we're at 118 likes, so 160 likes is the like record for these live streams, and 200 and I think 280 or is it 260 or 280? One of those two is the viewership record, and we've had a goal of 300 views. So you guys might be able to do it, man. We might be able to hit some pretty special numbers, and that's pretty humbling to me because we did just hit 6K subs last week, and now I'm looking at 61.59. We've had 160 new subs since hitting 6K in a week, so that's crazy. On the Blazers side, everyone individually has a case here. Thunder defensively are above average. Lou Dort is probably their best defender. I don't know if he's going to shadow anyone specifically. I think my favorite guy here that was getting a little bit overlooked and maybe continues to be overlooked in the shadows of maybe Adebayo, guys like that, Jusuf Nurkic. I'm getting mid-40s projection on him. I don't know what to make of this Thunder change in the front court, going from JRE, but they've been rotating that front court all year long, and all year long the Thunder have been one of the best matchups you could ask for fantasy points, center and power forward. So Nurkic has a real shot to really go ham here against the Thunder, man. Y'all are, Jesus, Nutrinosh, man, appreciate that. Ricondo Crutchfield, appreciate that. Yeah. But just individually, I think CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic stand atop the rest, but Simons is live to be a top play here. I just think the Blazers price points have all gotten to an efficient point where the median range outcome, even the higher median outcome here, is probably that they're okay plays. But I think you would need one of these starters to be out to really be confident pre-flop. But I think McCollum's fine for 40 plus. Nurkic is fine for 40 plus. I wouldn't be stunned if Nurkic got the 50 in this matchup, being as good as it is. One thing I do like about this matchup, the Thunder have been one of the best teams in terms of blocks allowed. So I think that looks really, really good for Nurkic, but also Robert Covington. And I'm getting a 32 fantasy point projection on Robert Covington. And on PrizePicks, they added, they took it off the board. They had blocks and steals, but they have him at 26 fantasy points. So if Covington, who's coming into this game averaging over a block and still almost 2 blocks and still combined per game, going against a Thunder team that will allow a lot of blocks and maybe be a little bit sloppy without SGA, I think Covington could thrive here. And CJ Ellaby, I think, got ruled out. We know Nas Little's done for the year. There's still no Larry Nance, no Cody Zeller. So I'm pretty confident that Robert Covington should be, a top guy for minutes here. 33 is my stamp on him right now. So maybe it's more of a PrizePicks gap here. But I like some action on Robert Covington from a defensive standpoint. And 26 fantasy points is something that he's clearing consistently. So give me some Roko action. And we line it up positively with the metrics. I expect him to be like the 5th option scoring wise. So it's going to have to be a little bit more metrically based, but the rebounds, blocks, and steals are there. And if he gets to 8, season average of 8 points or something like that, it's awesome. Gun leaving 10K on the table. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Hey.
Mr. International. Come on now. Y'all are nuts. What up, Damu, Drummond, and Giddy Chalk? Yeah, they just got to be. At 3,700, is it okay to eat the chalk on Drummond? Absolutely. Drummond's one of the... his failure rate seems so low in this spot. Like there's 3,700 guards that if they're scoring dependent, and they only get you like 18 to 20 fantasy points, they're probably irrelevant at the end of the night. But I just don't know how often you get 25 to 30 minutes of Andre Drummond and at this price, and he just doesn't get there, right? I think we could even stat muse Andre Drummond DKP by game log with, let's give him 25 minutes, and he's live to play 30 plus last 50 games. If he was 8K in this spot, I really might be considering playing him. So if I can get half the discount here, 27 minutes against Golden State on the 24th, this would be the disaster game, the 16. But if he gets you that 49, which was a really good matchup against Sacramento, the 39s to 30s, like 30 seems like a more common outcome than any of these other ones. The 12.5 DKP at Denver, the altitude, and 5 fouls against Jokic. That happens. Steven Adams maybe not going to draw a lot of fouls here. Doesn't take a lot of shots. Same with Jaren Jackson. And then the Golden State. If this is a game where Draymond Green played, Draymond Green was on pace to be Defensive Player of the Year, and it is. So I'm willing to forgive those 2 games and just believe that 3,700 for Andre Drummond is just way too cheap. And Joel Embiid's leaving 30 real points on the board. 12, 13 plus baseline rebounds. It's too good of a spot. And that's one of those mathematical spots. If that fails, it fails, right? It's not like a Furkan Korkmaz or a Svi Mikhailiuk where they got to score 20 real points to break a slate. Drummond could do it with, 10 real points and then, 4 blocks. And I talked about it earlier. The Memphis Grizzlies are top 3 in the league in terms of blocks per game allowed. And that's right up Drummond's alley. He'll get you blocks and rebounds. Top 2, 6.3. They're actually tied with OKC in terms of blocks per game allowed. So just hard to not to trust. Trust Drummond. Yo, Vills, man, appreciate that sub. Jesus, bro. Y'all are nuts. 290? Guys, I think we're about to touch 300, which means we should break the like goal. 200 or we need 160 is the like record. So if you guys all hit that thumbs up right now, we can do it. Heck, I think we should celebrate with like a week pass giveaway or something. What do you guys think? You want to do that? Because this is nuts. So let's do that. We've had so much love today, so many donos that it's time to give back. So let's open up CloudBot. We'll do a 5-minute giveaway. And while we do that, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns on On anything, go for it. Gleesh Reaper, come on, man. Come on, man. Giveaways. So I'll do a 5-minute giveaway. I'll be able to look throughout the nonsense and get you guys questions knocked out. Let's complete that from last time. Let's give away a week pass at RunDFS.com, right? So let's go custom giveaways. Current giveaway, custom. Let's go RunDFS week pass. And you guys know the drill. Just type the keyword, and then we'll bust out the winner here. Nurk looks great tonight. I agree with that. Thought they ended up saying Ellaby. Oh, is Ellaby back? Maybe I misread that. That's a good catch if I misspoke. Let me get caught up on all that, actually, while we do that. Let's get caught up and see if I missed any news nuggets. If Ellaby's back, then that's my bad. I'm misspeaking. 288? Man. What? That's crazy. George Hill out for Tuesday. Javonte Green probable for Tuesday. Paul Millsap rolled out. Boogie's questionable. Jokic questionable. That's huge. Are we about to get a JaMychal Green, Aaron Gordon slate? Nothing else big for today, but Nas Little out. Ellaby ruled out. No, it says update. Ellaby ruled out. Okay, I thought so. Gun, how do I get a week pass? If you want to buy it, you can go to RunDFS.com, click memberships, and get signed up. But if you want to win it, exclamation point raffle will get you a entry into the giveaway. Let me make sure I'm not missing any questions though. If you think I missed a question, just drop it back. I'll get it in the sea of the raffles. Dave King says Hero 6200 Sans Jimmy looks good. No, it does look good. I do want to give credence and respect to the Celtics defense. So I think there could be an average outcome for Jimmy and Adebayo, but the usage should be there. That's one of those you wrestle within on the ownership and trying to leverage the ownership, but pre-flop it looks pretty good for a limited rotation that should feature Hero as one of the top minute guys and one of the top usage guys. So for sure. Stefan says Seth Curry worth a look. Yeah, like I said, 30 real points comes off the board with Joel Embiid being out. So Nadu, thank you for the sub. Chris Roche, thank you for the sub. Man, what? That's crazy. Y'all gonna make a fat man blush on live YouTube. God dang it. But yeah, Seth Curry's definitely very valuable. 5,400 on FanDuel, 5.3 on DK. They gotta compensate for these Joel Embiid points. So I wouldn't talk you down off of getting to Seth Curry, even Maxey for that. Hollywood says Dort 5K, Giddy 5,700. Yeah, I'm definitely loading up on Giddy, but Dort for sure 20 real points is very, very viable. Worried about Morant getting Drummond in foul trouble? Not really. It's possible, but it's not really. I'd be more worried about maybe Jaren Jackson getting in foul trouble if Embiid was in. Morant 13, 10 free throws. He's getting to the line a little bit, but he's also one of the reasons why the Grizzlies give up a lot of blocks per game. It's because he drives to the rack recklessly. So he could get him in foul trouble, but I'm not that worried about it. At this price, I just don't want to create reasons to overthink. Like I'm getting a 40 plus fantasy point projection. Like we're 10xing. So, and that's on 28 minutes. So I don't want to overthink the Drummond spot. Bam triple-double, definitely possible. I was worried about Bam real points, but I think he gets 10 real points to make a triple-double live, and I think his assist rate is nuts, and we've seen him literally get triple-doubles in years past in a similar situation, right? What else we got? By the way, if you win this week pass, what you got to do is DM me on Twitter. So if you win, put your Twitter in chat and then DM me on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker. DMs are open. Just hit me up. I'm going to need the email. I'm going to create you an account at RunDFS.com, and then you'll be able to sign in and take advantage of it. Right? If you call yourself fat again, I'll unsub. Gun Maxey or Reggie Jackson on FanDuel who gets more minutes. I would probably lean Maxey. I got Maxey for dang near, high 30s, and Reggie, with as volatile as the Clippers have been, he could play anywhere from 25, 35. I like the thought of Reggie in deep field tournaments, right? If I had 150 lineups to give up a little equity, but for just asking purely minutes, I got more minutes going Maxey's way than anywhere else. That's the free giveaway train. Just getting here going Osmo or a run show after this. After this, I go into the RunDFS.com VIP Discord, and I'm in the NBA chat. I don't know when the next Osmo stream is, but I'm sure it'll be again within the next week or so. But for whenever I'm not booked on a show, I go to the Discord and I'm hanging out in the chat. Soccer6826, man. Appreciate the follow. Thoughts on on Bassie? I don't think we need to. If you just want that extra center spot for whatever reason, thinking he might get some run, unless he starts, I wouldn't really have a reason to believe in it and run to it. It's not like I think the Grizzlies is like the best matchup ever for opposing, unestablished guys, but I don't think I have any Bassie aspirations today. Thoughts on a Bam triple double? Yeah, let me get that gun. All right, I think if you sorry, I'm new. How does the ticket work? You just type exclamation point. Dude, I can't even. Y'all are Jesus, bro. Who was that? Jason Robinson. Appreciate that sub. Guys, we're gonna be back live tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern for the PrizePicks show, 3 p.m. Eastern for the DFS show on this channel, and then maybe have something up in the morning as a first look for PrizePicks props. And that's it. Is that the 5 minutes? Is the 5 minutes up? It is. Look at that. We got 44 of you guys, or 40. Yeah. So let's pick a winner. You win this. Type your Twitter in the chat, and then DM me on Twitter. Week pass. Hater Onzo. I'm gonna give away another one. Hater Onzo always wins. Hater Onzo, I'll get you cashed on that. Let's give away another one. I want to see a new name. Obi-Wan. There we go. Obi-Wan. DM me on Twitter. That's a regular. Both of you guys DM me on Twitter. I'll get you guys set up. Otherwise, man, it's been a long day and there's only 2 more hours to lock. Thank God. But we'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central for the DFS stream. But join me for the PrizePicks stream as well, man. You guys are actually crazy, dude. Like, dude, we're 20 away from 6,200, bro. I literally love you guys. Literally love you guys. I'll see you in the Discord. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.